Welcome. Have you ever found yourself intrigued by the evolution of your surroundings? I have, and I'm eager to tell you about my progress with Rillington. Together we shall embark upon a journey that transcends time and explore some avenues to enhance your understanding about your place. Rillington is a small village in North Yorkshire located on the A64 which connects York to Scarborough. The area around Rillington also includes Scampston, and their histories are deeply intertwined. It's a mix of a compact centre and a long stretch of land extending down to the train tracks and the farms near Low Moor. Rillington is a freehold village, so it's always been a place where people could own their own land and build on it, unlike in other places where land owned by big estates and the houses are more uniform. So rather than a top-heavy societal structure, Rillington was a bottom-up society, the Republic of Rillington. What is a one-place study? A one-place study looks at people in their area over time. It's a spot where inhabitants are connected, some related, some are not, and they're all adjusting to what's happening locally and nationally. The big question is, how long have they been doing this? For what reason did they choose to settle there? In this instance, the River Derwent circles the village to the north. People frequently settle close to rivers. This river is peculiar in that it empties into the River Ouse much further south, draining inland rather than into the North Sea. But why did it act in this way? Because, at the end of the last ice age, Lake Pickering was the largest inland lake in Britain. The river drained away inland, leaving an enclosed area of wetland filling the centre of the valley due to the moraines left by the melting glacier. The region's geology, which includes clays near the coast, chalk on the southern boundary, the Yorkshire Wolds, and limestones on the northern and western borders, the North Yorks moors. These provide the backdrop for its later development as a flat, fertile rural area. Throughout the Vale of Pickering, extensive archaeological research has been conducted, which suggests a timeline of human activity spanning the previous 12,000 years. How about that? It might have been their birthplace or temporary residence. Families have ties to both the land and other families because no one or any family is an island, and stories that bridge the gaps between archival records can be passed down through family law from an entire village. Topography considers the effect of the built environment on the rural landscape and why this came to be. The first recorded building was St Andrew's Church, which is Norman in origin. It's built on the top of a small hill in a flat landscape. It was suggested by an archaeologist that it may have been built on the top of a Saxon burial ground. The next known oldest building still standing is Rectory Farmhouse, which was built in the mid-16th century with connections to the monks of Byland Abbey. The Etherington family lived here during the English Civil War. Scampston Hall and Estate was acquired by the St Quintin family who came over with the Conqueror. It passed to the Ledyard family through marriage and remains with them. The gardens and parkland were designed by Capability Brown. This mid-19th century building, formerly known as the Retreat, was constructed for a local surgeon named Dr Thomas Allenson, who also maintained a private asylum for the insane on the property, and about the same time 70 other houses were constructed. Big development programme. Here are a few members of the Harrison family who farmed on the village's linear stretch across the Low Moor. The parish's built environment is distinguished by Rillington brick. It's a type of two-tone Flemish bond, and it's mined at the brick pits close to the location of this home. They are the kind of family that has persisted over many generations, with farming descendants living now. Two of their forebears were the first entries in the baptism registers, dated the 24th and 30th of April, 1626. This is the Royal Oak Public House with the Foresters Friendly Society marching band who were performing on a feast day. Take note of the Rillington masonry here. Since the brick pits are no longer in use, they've flooded, creating beautiful, sizable ponds that draw wildlife. Population studies are a marvellous way of recording changes in society. Examining the census, it can be seen that the population increased during the 19th century and it peaked in 1851. Looking beyond the census years, these census substitutes make it clear that the population increased from the 13th century. A huge change happened when the railway came in 1845, creating an increase in population. The countryside was cut through and land changed hands between freeholders and the York and North Midland Railway Company. It revolutionised society in so many ways. Perishable goods could be moved quickly, especially fresh fish. The railway was a major employer and transport of heavy materials became cheaper. Post and newspapers could be delivered more easily, and holidaymakers flocked to the east coast from the more industrial parts of Yorkshire. Above, mail sacks are being delivered to the post office from the station, which was a mile away. Families immigrated into Rillington to provide all the support services for the expanding needs of the community. The Myers family were tailors and drapers, and a good example of this. They lived and worked at their house on Low Moorgate, which is still standing. This marriage is between Mary Myers and Frank Duck in 1906. He came from the Station Hotel, the hotel being one of the new buildings built when the railway came. How do you interpret landscape? Walking the area with an Ordnance Survey map is a good start. This is taken from the top of Thorpe Bassett Wold with Rillington to the left and Scampston Hall directly ahead, with the North Yorks moors in the background. Notice the small pieces of chalk in the soil. The A64 runs from Leeds to Scarborough, but before then the Scarborough Road ran through the villages to Yeddingham and then on to Scarborough. This super 1772 Thomas Jeffreys map shows villages following the Turnpike Road, which is now the A64 section from Malton to Scarborough. Note how the main road turns left to Yeddingham Bridge. It's a mere track that strikes out east to the coast. It's interesting to see the settlements developing. The 1740 Britannia Depicta strip map was an illustrated road atlas for Britain, showing the road to Scarborough. Rillington is there with the church and a rill, which is a stream or a beck, crossing the road. Rillington was recorded in the Domesday Survey of 1086, and the Anglo-Saxon origins of the village are documented in the 100 of Scard. It was recorded as having 2 settlements. Later on it was in the wapentake of Buckrose, and Rillington is now a village and civil parish in the Rydale district of North Yorkshire. As with surnames, archival documents show place name variants as well, and here are just a few. I do like the bottom one, Rillington, rill meaning a brook or a stream, and ton Viking for village or estate. Thanks to Gary Alanak from All About That Place 2023, I discovered archaeological watching briefs which record archaeological remains that may be affected by a new development. I first found them on the TNA website under Archived Websites. I entered Rillington and Domesday at first, however you can easily put your place and archaeological watching brief into a search engine. These wonderful documents further reinforce the archaeological background of the area. It was wonderful to discover pre-conquest settlements stretched along the foot of the wolds from Malton eastward towards the coast, echoing the location of prehistoric and Roman ladder settlements. From west to east, Scagglethorpe, Rillington, Scampston, West and East Knapton, West and East Heslerton and Sherburn. All these Iron Age Romano-British ladder settlements following the A64. Not only that, there's an Iron Age barrow cemetery in the field next door to where I live. This enabled me to draw up a timeline to help me understand the enormity of the history and changes of Rillington and its environs. I believe family history and local history needs a third sibling. Archaeology underpins when the Ice Age receded and hence the evolution of the area. It's fascinating to think about the settlements that have been in the area since the last Ice Age. It's my hope that you feel inspired to explore more about why, when, and where your inhabitants first settled. Wishing you many magical moments of discovery ahead. Thank you.